Chapter 3 from Unit 3 is about analyzing the external environment where a company is seeking to expand. And so by the end of this, you should be able to evaluate a potential market and predict whether or not it would be suitable for the company that you have chosen. And what they recommend in the textbook is a PEST analysis to look at the political, economic, socio-cultural, and technological factors of the situation and see if the company and the country are compatible. So we're really looking at making connections. We're really trying to have specific reasons, and we're looking to have research, like a demographic, a statistic, a case study that would support your claims, not just a feeling. And this particular chapter really emphasizes the application component of the course. So what's the sort of big idea? I think sometimes in business we can learn as much from failures as we do from successes. So we want to be successful, but also we want to avoid failures. So Mattel, which owns Barbie, had opened a big flagship store. It was several stories high. Had this, like you can see here in this photo, had a bit of a pink and white design. And after a couple of years and millions of dollars in losses, it had to close the store. And you might think, oh, well, it's because Barbie has blonde hair and it doesn't look like someone who maybe living in China, but that actually wasn't the case. They made some dolls to look like Chinese girls and also ones that looked like Barbie, and the traditional Barbie you would think from North America was a more popular seller. But what ended up happening was some economic factors were not appropriate. They don't source from China, they source from other countries, and the costs were very, very high. In addition to selling toys, they were also selling clothes that Barbie might wear, and they were selling jeans for $200. But Barbie isn't really a luxurious jean brand. It's not seen as a fashion brand. So to charge that much money, there just wasn't that disposable income. There just wasn't the market. They also, it was little for a toy, although there was a market for it. Many Chinese toys are more educational, and it was seen as a little bit too entertaining. So there wasn't, there may have been a market for people to have one or two Barbie dolls, but it didn't have a big potential marketplace. And sort of for some of those reasons, and possibly a third one, which is that although the brand Barbie has potential, they didn't try to establish it as a toy, build up the customers, and then launch the store. They just launched the store right away without much of an introduction. That might be a third reason that it failed, but it was probably due to the economic and socio-cultural factors that the store had to close. So definitely the must know by the end of this chapter is the PEST analysis, talking about political factors. This can be regulations. Is the product permitted? In the book, it talks about Uber, so not every location allows ride sharing, and that'll be a big political reason for where Uber can operate. But what are the minimum wages like? What are the taxes? If an area high taxes, or high regulation, might not be the best location. Walmart did not succeed in Germany because there was a lot of red tape that does not exist in the United States. Are they pro-business? Are they encouraging businesses to move there with perhaps incentives? Is it a trading partner? Will there be tariffs or not? What is the attitude? For example, right now, it might not be the best time for a foreign company to launch in the United States because they've been promoting the Buy US sort of attitude within their government. So we would want to look at who's in charge of the country, and what are the laws, and is that going to be suitable to our business? sort of economic? Is it a stable situation? Some areas of the world, there's high unemployment, there's high inflation. It's not the most stable situation. What would be the costs of operating there? Is it logistically? Can you find local sources and make things cheap, or will you have to ship your supplies a long way? Who are some of the competitors? What do they charge? Can you match their prices and still maintain a profit? Is there enough disposable income, enough customers to make it economically possible? So the first one is legally, like, well, can this work? Is our service permitted and allowed and encouraged in the country? And then this is, can it be profitable? So this whole unit is about the cultural factors, and this is exactly what they mean. Is it a cultural fit? And we can look at the demographics, and this could be age, this could be religion, this could be income level, this could be family status, this could be ethnic background. It could be lifestyle. Is it an active culture or not? And you're really looking for pulling out those demographics and showing how this potential location matches the other locations where the business has succeeded. What are the trends? What are the health and education like? The attitude towards crime. So let's take CrossFit, for example. Obviously, that has to go to places with an active lifestyle. Most of their customers are 25 to 34. They tend to have a high income level, and they also tend to have a high education level, and they're also willing to try new non-traditional, like, fitness exercises. So take a moment to guess where their biggest countries will be. I'll just pause for a second, aside from the United States. Well, so countries that meet those criteria are Brazil, Italy, Australia, then Canada and the UK. So they went to find that sort of out of the box fitness attitude in Brazil, in addition to the income level and the age group. And they have a very, very dominant position in there. And their international expansion, they offer a licensing model. You just pay $3,000 a year, and now they're up to over 16,000 locations worldwide. But they don't just go to any country. They tend to find ones that are a good fit and try to establish a very dominant position there. So lastly, technology, current technology, is it in place? But at the moment, Uber, the example in the book, could not have taken place in 20 years ago, nor could it launch in an area without a reliable Wi-Fi network. So not all communities will be a source for Uber drivers. It's more likely to be concentrated in bigger cities. Are there any future innovations that might be about to happen, and that will help? A lot of the kind of technology companies, they did a good job of looking ahead to see what was going to happen with the internet and how we are connected. So it's not only what is existing now, but what might be existing. And there's an activity in the book to do a bit of a sample one, and I think it is a good thinking exercise to pick a product and actually go through this. This would kind of be what a business school like case study would be. So for example, if we were to take the NBA, so political factors. The NBA really started its expansion in 1980s, when there's a global culture because of more televisions became possible. And people were open up to the sort of American culture. And that allowed, initially David Stern was selling highlights to South American countries for $2,000 a year. Was sending a video of a game of the week to China. It was very, very limited. But, it started small once people were willing to buy into an American culture. And that was permitted. But then recently, if you've been following the protests in Hong Kong, Daryl Morey the general manager of the Houston Rockets has expressed support for the protests that were happening in Hong Kong, and he was staunchly criticized, and a lot of Chinese companies have ended their agreements with the NBA as a result of this, and they might be losing $500 million in revenue at least because of that. So let's look at the economics of this. Well, the average income level of a basketball player and a basketball fan is a little lower, so it allowed them to, be successful in many countries. Socio-cultural. In the 80s, people became focused more on celebrities, and as a result, the NBA switched their advertising to focus on celebrities like Magic, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan, and make it more superstar based. So it wasn't like New York, it was more like this international figure like Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan or Larry Bird, and that allowed it to take off. And more recently, basketball has been a very fast growing sport in all parts of the world, in Europe and Asia and Africa and Canada. It's just growing by leaps and bounds, and the more and more people play basketball, the more and more likely they are to consume the product. Let's look at technology. In the 1980s, there were a lot more TV stations. They needed content. Well, what can fill content? Sports can fill content, even if it's just one game of the week, or even if it's just taped highlights. David Stern realized that there were television stations starting up around the world in the 80s. There had always been TV stations, but cable expanded in the late 70s and 80s, and it needed content. And he would even cheaply give them the content to get in there, and then win over the customers. And now what they've done is a good job of is anticipating streaming over the internet, understanding how people use social media, understanding how people are using video games to interact with them. So the NBA has always been looking at what next, and that's why they've succeeded. I'll post an article in my announcement about some 6 reasons for international expansion failure and some reasons for international successes. You might want to read it. It has some good details to it, and again, it's like the kind of article you would read in business school. So I'll share that with everyone if you do want to read ahead and get a little more of a detailed case, bottoms up type of analysis of this chapter. I will share it with you.